What is going on, Ive Warriors? So it's finally happened. It's finally happened. Protein fasting. That's the only one we were waiting for, because there was the keto diet, or the Atkins diet, and then the keto diet, which is limit carbohydrates, right? One of the macronutrients. Then there was, the carnivore diet, which was limit carbohydrates as well. Yeah, that's also kind of limiting carbohydrates. And then with the keto diet is increase fats and even limit a little bit of protein, but mainly limiting carbohydrates. So there was basically one, diet for all of the take this macronutrient out, take this macronutrient out, and take this macronutrient out. But there was never one where you fully took out protein. But now there is. It's called protein fasting. And a lot of people are very interested in this new system. They're talking about it. A lot of people in the intermittent fasting community are talking about protein fasting and its benefits. Is this beneficial? Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the truth is protein is probably the most important of the three macronutrients. It is the most powerful one. It is the most metabolically active one. It has a high thermic effect, so it actually helps with weight loss. And then over time, it helps with weight loss because of the fact that it helps to retain and build muscle. There is no good that will come from fasting from protein. I'm not saying this to be counter to protein fasting. I'm simply saying this because we understand mechanistically what protein does. It actually helps you lose weight more than carbohydrates and fats, because it's so multi-purposed in terms of even just the process of eating it alone and its thermic effect being 30% in comparison to carbohydrate only being 15%. So what that would mean is if you were to eat 100 calories of protein, you will be using 30 of those calories just to break it down, which means that on a calorie per calorie basis, you're already creating a more of a likelihood to be at a deficit or to be at maintenance than if you were eating carbohydrates, because 100 calories of carbohydrate would only require about 15 calories to break that down, and fats would only require about 3 or 5 calories to break that down. So it's important to know that just on the thermic effect of consuming it, just eating it, it will probably be a net positive for you calorie wise. Then we have to look at literally what it does after the fact. Muscle or lean mass is the primary driver for your metabolic rate. You have to understand that when you are losing weight, you are also reducing your metabolic rate. So because of the weight loss, because of the reduction in activity, there's a lot of things that starts to take place. You don't weigh as much, therefore less energy is required to move your body around. What ends up happening is your metabolism finds ways to become more efficient because you're consistently losing weight. And even though people don't understand this, the body doesn't want to necessarily lose weight. Your body wants to hold on to weight because it is a safety system. That's why it feels so difficult to lose weight, because your body is doing things to hold on to weight. If you stop eating, if you're exercising, when you get home, your body makes you a little bit tired, right? So your non-exercise activity thermogenesis reduces, so it could save some calories there. It'll increase ghrelin so that you get hungry and you consume a little bit more, and it'll save some calorie there, right? So your body starts to do little things here and there, tweaks to make sure that you're losing less calories. Therefore, overall, your metabolism goes down. But what helps your metabolism go up is your lean mass. And the more of it that you have, the more your metabolism will increase. Therefore, protein intake, which helps facilitate muscle building or muscle retention, helps counterbalance that metabolic slowdown, the adaptive thermogenesis that is inevitable. It counterbalances with the fact that you're still providing the fuel source for your muscles, which is working out as one, as protein synthesis. One of them is working out, and the other one, it's consuming protein. And even if you want to say, well, maybe it works because people are trying it or whatever, there isn't really even a study that ever showed that sparing protein works. As a matter of fact, on the flip side, there have been studies with even intermittent fasting and protein pacing versus like heart healthy foods that are at a caloric deficit. And the intermittent fasting and protein pacing, although it was very similar because of the way the fasting system was structured, the intermittent fasting and protein pacing, which means more protein for the intermittent fasting group and a heart healthy breakfast or heart healthy food for calorie restriction group, had greater benefits than the heart healthy food. That's how powerful protein is, just upping your protein. On the flip side of protein fasting on this channel, we actually recommend to try to have as much protein on your plate as possible. Up your protein, because within your caloric limit, use protein as much as you can, as more than normal, because the normal American diet is much more laced in carbs than it is with protein. Protein is super important. So unfortunately, no, I do not recommend protein fasting. There are no studies that back protein fasting. This is just a new thing that people are trying to do, but it is not anything backed by science. And mechanistically, it doesn't make sense knowing how protein works and what it does for you, especially when you're losing weight. It just doesn't make any sense for you not to consume protein. On top of all of this, if you eat protein, it's more satiating. Protein is more satiating than carbohydrates. So what does that mean? It helps you lose weight, even on a biological, hormonal, and psychological level. Because if you ate 500 calories of protein, of steak, for example, you can be stuffed, but you can eat 500 calories of donuts in carbohydrates and you want to eat more. It feels like you haven't even eaten. Think about that. That is calorie dense. Protein is not normally calorie dense, but if you eat a good amount of it, you will still probably be at a caloric deficit, but you won't feel hungry because you'll actually be full. There's so many positives to consuming protein that a protein fast is just a recipe for disaster. So I see that this is brewing. People are starting to talk about this system, and because it's new. Just if it's new, people want to try it, right? Because they feel like the old stuff hasn't worked. But really, the protein fasting, there's no science to back it, and biologically and mechanistically, it wouldn't even make sense for it to work. So hopefully this video has helped you guys. I didn't want to be a Debbie Downer when it comes to protein fasting, but I do want to put out the correct information. Now, granted, I will be on the lookout for studies. There has not been a study done in reverse. And when I say that, there's been protein increase studies done, but I've not seen protein reduction studies done. Protein fasting, where you don't eat protein, you just eat fats and carbohydrates. I've not seen a study like that. And trust me, I can find studies. That's literally my job. So when I do, I will share those results. But I've seen the reverse studies, and they're very positive for consuming more protein. So I would venture a guess that if they flip that, it would probably not be a positive thing. But let's wait and see. I can't see how it would work, but let's wait and see if studies come out for it. But this is my 2 cents based on the science that we have right now and based on the logic that we have on protein consumption. Hopefully this video helped you guys, and of course, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.